The first thing that I jotted down here, because it was just an obvious thing to me in my 20s. I got working a full-time job, 22 or so in Canada. When I came back from England, I was up for a short stint for a few months and came back after school, post-secondary, and just started working full-time. Kind of had to figure out a few jobs like JOBs. Job stands for just over broke for most people. That'll resonate. Until I found something that I sort of settled in, which at the time was collections, because I wanted to work in an office. I knew that physical labor jobs were just not for me long-term basis. I enjoyed working with my hands. Like I worked in shops, I planted Christmas trees, did some outdoor stuff. But I always knew that the best use of my time to sort of multiply was going to be something to do in an office. So I came across about 23, 24 working full-time in office spaces in the third-party collection world, credit bureaus, stuff like that. And it was surprising to me. I mean, my dad instilled this in me at a younger age, but it was real surprising to me that so few people have any or have even begun to start saving anything, even well into their 20s, 25, 28, 29, 30. A lot of people, even in their 30s and 40s, haven't saved a dime, haven't invested in anything. They basically earn and then they spend. Even worse than that, which lands a lot of guys into problems, is they earn, there's a month left over, and they need more money to pay rent or some expense, and they go take a payday advance against their income. These businesses they're diabolical. I had a number of them that approached me over years when I was running my debt negotiation company, and the amount of money that they make is just, like I said, it's diabolical. Like, the usury rate here in Canada is 60%. It's like 59.99%. I don't know if they've changed it, but when I was running the business 15 years ago, it was a real high number. So you could get away with charging real high interest to people for things like payday loans and payday advances, and they always had a wage garnishment built into the contract. So if you didn't pay, they can go direct to your employer and take the money there. If you moved employers, they would try to chase you down and take the money that way. Not investing in your savings future. You get all these different mechanisms and investment vehicles. Canada, you've got RSPs, TFSAs, Roth, whatever, down in the States. They're all over the place. And the amount of people that don't throw some money into it, I mean, I jotted down 15 to 20% of your income. I think that's what you should be putting aside for savings / rainy days. In Canada, you can use part of your RSP as a down payment on a house, tax-free, as long as you repay the amount you transfer over for the down payment on the house within a certain period of time. So there's a lot of advantages to putting money into retirement savings, tax-free savings accounts. One of these vehicles that either delays, defers, or deters tax events on your income. Starting early, it's time in the market. It's not timing the market. It's not let's do it at this time of the year. It's time in the market. And if you've got your conventional JOB right now, you're living just over broke, but you're making contributions to your investments. And I'm not going to tell you which ones to put them in. Funds are generally the safest and better way to go over a long-term basis, is what they generally show. A chunk of your income, I would say 15 to 20%. Some people would say lower, 5, but whatever you can. But the other thing that a lot of people miss too, which was surprising to me, remember I got into this large corporation, multinational. They had a fund. It was basically like a company top-up fund. And they would match up to a certain percentage that you put into the investment portfolio. And it wasn't substantial, but it wasn't insignificant. It worked out to the equivalent, and this was 20 years ago, but it worked out to the equivalent of a few $1,000s a year if you maxed out at the cap. And, I still have it. Like I still have a printed statement from what the value of that investment is into that fund. And it's a decent number, right? Like it's well into high 5 figures. And that's just one of several. And that's just from doing that for several years, not for a lifetime, but for several years, under a decade, more than 3 years, let's say. Consistently doing that and doing it early, while others just sort of opted out because they wanted to go out and get smashed and drink a case of beer on a Friday after they got paid, with their peers. Getting your money squared away sooner than later is always a better way to do it, because time in the market never fails. So that's the first thing that I want to cover. Now, I get a lot of crap that comes across my feed timeline, stuff like that. Yeah, and if you guys want to ask a question about credit score or money or debt, just wait for the call-in segment or drop that so it pops on my screen so I see it. The other thing that grinds my gears is I see a lot of people try to get you to focus on being frugal. Um, Instead of buying a coffee at the coffee shop, make your coffee at home and you'll save, I don't know, $1.93 or something like that. Instead of buying your lunch, meal prep and make your lunch at home. And that probably makes good sense because you're going to get higher quality meals at a lower cost than what you're going to get eating out at fast food joints. But I find personally there's too much emphasis put on saving money, being frugal, being cheap, turning down the heat, uh, unplugging the toaster oven if you take off for a weekend. Like you might laugh at this, but people from my dad's generation, like if he goes away for a few days, he'll go around the house and unplug everything. He thinks that he's going to save a buck or something like that. It probably doesn't even amount to like half a cent, but there are people that are entirely focused on frugality and saving money, and I think that's stupid because the amount of savings that you're going to generate, and even if you take the savings that you generate and you allocate it to an investment over a long period of time, yes, it'll make you some money, but you're far, far better off figuring out a real path to wealth, pursuing it diligently, vehemently like staying away from anything that's going to deter you from those paths and success, and focus on making more money. I mean, be smart with how you spend the money, but put your focus not on saving money, not on being frugal, but on making more money. And that's a mindset shift because we're completely programmed as a function of society, culture, and all the other bullshit out there that you're more valuable than you think you are, that you're richer than you possibly can comprehend, and that if you subscribe to these notions of frugality and download this app from your bank or your trust company or whoever it is that you're banking with and enter in some digits, you're going to get so much better at saving 12 cents this week, which you can then allocate to your tax-free savings account, blah blah blah. You can take the same amount of effort, right, and apply that to making more money. Choose real paths to wealth. Either find ways to ascend a corporate ladder that job. I'm going to run through real paths well. I've covered this many times. I'll touch on it again because I know a lot of you are new. C-suite job, CEO, CFO, CEO, whatever, chief something officer, licensed professionals, doctor, lawyer, you sell financial instruments, whatever that happens to be, surgeon. You've got an expertise, a designation in an area that's high paying. Finds a doctor down in the States, even if he just does work 12 days a month, he's making a minimum of $800,000 a year. Another guy I know that's in my inner circle is an engineer in one of these FANG companies. FANG is Facebook, Google, Amazon, all that stuff. A basic like mid-tier engineer is going to make $250,000 a year. What he's aiming for is one of the top tier jobs, which are $800,000 to $1.2 billion a year. So getting into some sort of specified designation where you're some kind of licensed professional, that also ties into STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. Back to the FANG guy, he's obviously in the engineering field. But that would be the third one. The next one is, of course, being able to command an audience, right? You have people that pay attention to what you have to say. They know, like, and trust you. Having the attention of people, like we live in an attention economy. Having the attention of people does matter. When you have the attention of people, then you have influence. You have pull, right? You can make recommendations. You can design your own products. Write a book. You can create a supplement line. All I've done there is I've white labeled a very, very good product that's already manufactured in the States, and I just put my name on it. That's all I've done. So commanding an audience is another effective way. Was that 3 or 4? The other one is high ticket sales. High ticket sales pays very, very well. It's a commission based on the transaction. If you have larger transactions, the commission's bigger. I remember selling stereo equipment when I was a teenager. Excuse me. I don't know, I did it for 2.5 years. And, my commission for selling just CD players and TVs and DVDs and stuff like that, a few $100s a month, right? You move into something that's high ticket, luxury jets, like luxury items, luxury boats, yachts, sailboats, luxury cars, exotic cars, luxury real estate, like in excess of $5 million, right? You get into these big ticket items, you can make fat stacks of cash, right? So instead of focusing on, well, let me go make my own coffee at home and I'm going to put it in my spreadsheet and track how I've saved, $1.03 doing this one small task and I'm going to compound it here and there. Sure. Is that effective at saving you some money? Is being frugal going to save you some money? I watched my dad do it his entire life. My dad came from post-war England. He came from a time where they had rationed eggs, potatoes, bread, even buttons. They fucking rationed buttons, he was telling me. So these guys are frugal as hell. And I've seen frugality do a small amount, but it is not going to be a game changer for you. The game changer is figuring out how to make more money. So we talk about high ticket sales. Entrepreneurs, obviously my favorite one. And by the way, the ticker up, I forget. By the way, the School of Unplugging has the School of Entrepreneurship in it, and if you pay for the annual option, it saves you like 35% on the monthly option. You just obviously go to the school. I'll put a link for it after the show, but you can go to the School of Unplugging on the school platform, or just go to school.com/the school of unplugging. You can get access to the School of Entrepreneurship, which teaches you what all the best entrepreneurs do. So do not avoid an opportunity or an option to go and figure out how to create something that generates value that people will pay you a lot of money for. Right? Some C-suite jobs, licensed professional, commanding an audience, high ticket sales, being an entrepreneur, my personal favorite, and of course the STEM. Those are the main ones. Right? Like everything else that you generally get fed by others, get into this field. It's a real secure job. About some of the dumbest things that I keep hearing over and over is, get a nice secure job with the government, with a pension. It's like, yeah, there's all these stories about like the wealthy barber or like the really wealthy garbage truck driver or something like that. And yes, if you have very low cost of living and a good income and you invest properly over a good 40 years, you too can retire with a nice nest egg and probably be comfortable. But you're not going to be wealthy. You're not going to be anti-fragile. You're going to be in a position where you've got some vulnerabilities.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here and pin down below in the top comment. You'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.